Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Hot Drop, the Battlegrounds podcast. I'm your host, Dano, and I bring you everything Battlegrounds, from news and updates to gameplay strategies and speculation. Let's get into it. So, unfortunately, there was no update this week, and this was likely due to all the activity around E3, which ended today. But on the other hand, it was E3, so we got a whole lot of really awesome news out of PlayerUnknown. He gave this interview with the PC Gaming Show, which was hosted by PC Gamer, and he highlighted some really awesome changes that are coming to Battlegrounds in the next few months. Some of these we already knew about, but this time we got a sneak peek at how they'll actually work in the game. I'm going to roll right into this video to show you some of these things in action. So first we have climbing, which is really cool. So this allows you to get over fences that are like waist high to chest height, and you can see they did a really good job with the animations here. They're showing the character really lifelike in how they hop up on small objects. Second, we have vaulting, which is going to make it really easy to get over fences. Right now, this is really annoying because you have to get a full sprinting running start to hop over any kind of fence. And I've constantly found myself backing up, running at a fence, not having enough speed to clear it, backing up, jumping again, and this is really going to solve that problem, and I'm super excited to see that. Third, we have the new idea of jumping out of windows, and this is the killer feature, I think. I'm picturing some really cool scenarios where you're getting attacked by an enemy squad and your own squad is holed up inside a house, and the only way to get out right now, obviously, is through the doors. But using this new vaulting technique, you can jump out of windows instead of doors, which means you have a whole lot more options for how you want to flee the area. On the other hand, I see some really cool ideas around storming houses, like being the guys that actually attack to take over a house. I'm picturing situations where you can actually jump through the windows into a house, and this completely changes the dynamic of how houses are currently used just as camp fests right now. Third, we have weather, and they've done a really excellent job on the art team with all of these weather effects. We have full sun, we have fog, we have rain. We already have rain now, but it's cool to see they're giving it more attention. And maybe coolest of all is the sunset. And they did a really awesome job with that lens flare effect and making it so it's very realistic and not too dark, but not too light at the same time. I think the sunset is going to be a game changer. Right now we have partly cloudy days all the time and the occasional rain, but having a sunset setting is going to really make things a lot more interesting. This means things like flash hiders are going to be very, very important to have on your weapon. This means that flashlights can be introduced to the game. This means that night vision can be introduced to the game, and this possibly even means things like headlights on cars. Any light source that could potentially give away your position is something to be aware of now in this game. It also means that shadows could be a lot more important as well. So if you have a flashlight and you're trying to approach a house, you maybe don't want to shine it on your teammate because the shadow that they cast could potentially give away your position. So I'm picturing a whole lot of really cool scenarios with a dusk or nighttime map in regards to light sources and shadows for sure. Finally, we have one last thing. So they pulled a Steve Jobs on this and whipped this gun out at the end. This is the OTs-14 Groza, and this is going to be a weapon that's found specifically in crates, and it is a carbine assault rifle that will be shooting 7.62 rounds. The first time I've ever seen the Groza in a video game was in the game Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. And this is a really sweet game. I would totally recommend playing this if you haven't yet, but that's for another day. In Stalker, this gun has a low accuracy, low to medium damage, and a high rate of fire. More recently, however, you've probably seen the Groza in Battlefield 4, where it is not the best gun in the game, but it is fairly decent. It does about 30 damage at close quarters, so that means a 4-shot kill. And it shoots the 7.62 round in that game as well. It has a relatively high rate of fire and can take a variety of attachments. Here's some real-life examples of what the Groza looks like. This first one has a vertical foregrip, grenade launcher, and silencer with a scope. So if this is the direction that PlayerUnknown decides to take, this could be a pretty versatile gun. And the fact that it only shows up in crates means that it's probably going to have really high stats and something that you probably want to go for. These changes alone were enough to get me pretty excited about the next couple months. But there's actually even more to share. PlayerUnknown announced the addition of 2D and 3D replays. So this gives you the ability to watch the game back in free look mode and have a top-down view of what happened during the game as well as a follow-along cam. So this will really give you awesome insight into what you did wrong or what you did right to lose or win a game. I think this will be a feature that's really instrumental in teaching yourself how to play better. Really being able to see what mistakes you made and how to fix them is going to go a long way to making you more successful at this game. So outside of first-person shooters, I like to play a lot of NHL with my friend from back home. One of the things I like about NHL is the replay system in that game. So in NHL, it actually pulls out a list of all your highlights. So the game knows when something interesting happened. It knows when penalties were made, when fights happened, and when goals were scored. So using this list, you can quickly pick a replay that you want to see, and it automatically queues up that replay for you on a big screen. So I could see this being done in a similar way in Battlegrounds, where every time you get a kill, it's queued up as a highlight. You click that highlight and are able to see that kill. Or I could also see this working where if you had a close encounter with someone but didn't actually shoot, that would be pulled in as a highlight. I see a lot of ways that Battlegrounds could really have a great replay system that is really user-friendly and exists in a really nice UI. Another feature that PlayerUnknown mentioned was the addition of a new map. And not just one new map, two new maps. They're actually actively working on these maps right now, and they gave us a sneak peek of these in a Game Informer magazine article about a month ago. So this first map is centered in the Adriatic, and this will be an island which was part of the Yugoslavian territories. So this information I'm getting from the Game Informer article, and I hope we have a lot more coming soon from PlayerUnknown. But this is what we have to go off so far. It's an island of contrast. There are thick forests on the north side, Mediterranean coasts on the south side, and most exciting, snowy mountains in the center. It's 8 by 8 kilometers, which is pretty big. And it'll have a whole bunch of different architecture styles, and depending on where you go on this map, you'll see different biomes. So it's pretty cool that they have one map that actually has forests, it has city, and it still also has the really cool addition of mountains and snow. I can see this really opening the door to additional maps that have a lot of different biomes within them, sort of like this one. I'm pretty excited about the snow aspect of this map because we haven't seen any snow so far, and it sort of introduces a few new interesting gameplay elements that could affect your game. So for example, snow falling could obviously obstruct your vision, but snow that's been accumulating on the ground could also give away your position in the form of footprints or tire tracks for your car. So I'm pretty excited to see what this map will turn out to look like, but at the same time I'm sort of not really getting my hopes up that I'll see it anytime soon because maps take a very long time to make, and this is probably pretty far off still. The second map is a bit smaller. It's half the size of the Adriatic island, so it is 4 by 4 kilometers, and it is located in a desert city. According to Game Informer, they write, "It was once a beautiful place to visit, but war ravaged its streets, and sandstorms buried much of what remained. The south and east areas feature a canyon with a river running through it. Water from the river supports the small villages that remain after the city was destroyed, and the north area of the island features hillside slums." We have a little more information on this map. You can see that there's some labels that say things like buried buildings, ancient Pueblo villages, destroyed bridge, oasis town, leftover village, old comm towers. So there's going to be a lot of desert here and a lot of rundown ruins to hide in and really play among. So again, I think this is sort of just an introduction of a new biome, as well as serving the function of just being a smaller map. Maybe this is going to be used for different game modes where there's less than 100 people per game. I could see this being a more frantic, fast-paced game if the area to travel is a lot smaller. Um, but but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. This is probably not going to come out for another couple months at the very least. So like I said, I would be pretty surprised if these maps make it out before 2018. It seems like they're really sticking with the island theme, which is cool, because that means that water may play a very big role in any of these maps. So I think one of the things right now in the current map is that we have boats, but they're completely underused. I really want to see some more interesting ways to traverse the water and more times when I can actually jump in a boat and it makes sense. The only time I ever use a boat right now is to dick around with my friends and go to Spawn Island at the beginning of the game because we can. But there's really no reason to take a boat unless you get a circle that really makes sense and really facilitates the use of a boat. I really hope they add more waterways to maps so that the water plays a bigger role in movement around the map. Also in the interview, PlayerUnknown mentioned that this game is a platform. He wants this game to be a stable platform for multiple different game modes. And I think this is pretty interesting, because this tells me that this game will be around for a very long time. Different game modes and modifications are what make games last a very long time. Look at Grand Theft Auto, look at the Fallout series, look at Skyrim. These games have been out for a very long time, especially Skyrim. But when you have a developer that actually encourages modding and supports it, you're going to have a game that has legs. You're going to have a game that many people will continue to buy years, maybe even decades after the release date. So this makes me very excited that they're looking forward to the future and realizing that people are going to get sick of Battle Royale eventually. But if they build a platform that allows people to mod it and create their own game modes, maybe even total conversion modifications, this is going to make it so that people know what Battlegrounds is for years to come. We can sort of see what he means when they introduced the Zombies game mode the next day. I'm going to hold on to this topic and talk about it in the next episode, but you can see that they're creating these different types of game modes in-house as sort of like a proof of concept. The zombie mode isn't a total conversion, but it's sort of showing you what you can do with the engine and give some ideas to modders about what they want to create going forward. Finally, they mentioned that the game is coming to Xbox One, and this, of course, is great news. This will really boost the player count. They announced that a separate team will be working on this, and that it's planned for late 2017. I hope that they can regularly push updates, just like they do on PC. I've seen a lot of games go to consoles and just not get the love that they deserve. And also, cross-platform support would be awesome. I don't own an Xbox, but I am interested to see where this goes, and I'm definitely supportive of having this game on multiple consoles and getting it in as many hands as possible. If they're able to do cross-platform support, meaning I could play on my PC against someone else on an Xbox, that would be huge. So I'm interested to see where they go with that as well. So that about wraps things up for our E3 coverage this week. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next episode where I will have a guest on the show covering some gameplay analysis. I'll be showing some gameplay footage from each of our perspectives, and we'll be talking about the decisions we made during the game, and you'll see for yourself how those decisions turned out. Until then, I'll see you in game.